Alright, P.U.N.K games. This first one is going to be up against Ancient Gears. Let's get started. So I wanted to show this one first because it has a little bit of a weird starting hand, but it's a really good one. We do like to open Extreme Session just because it makes sure that we get those draws even if our first couple of plays get interrupted to help us keep going. Thankfully here they have no hand traps or anything. They are definitely a going second deck and they have board breakers and things. But this is just a good example of uninterrupted what we can do as a full combo. And let's just hope it is enough going into the opponent's turn. So we've got Juro, we've got one monster negate and destroy, we've got a Book of Moon, and we've got some bounces. We opened Solemn Judgment, which is incredibly important because they opened Lightning Storm. We do not have another out to Lightning Storm in this deck, or especially not on this current board. But we're just going through using our disruptions where we can. The Ballista's a really good place to hit with Jam Fever. There's not many better monsters to negate with that. We do end up using, I think, every hand trap in our hand to stop them, and we still have a bounce and a Book of Moon and a board wipe. So even though they were going second deck, and they definitely did stuff, they like went and they played cards and they tried to break our board, we managed to hold. It could have gone, I don't know, I guess it would have been a bit worse if the Lightning Storm went through. They were targeting our monsters, which would have stopped our negate and our bounces, but we still would have had 6 disruptions, including the hand traps off of that, so it wouldn't even be the worst thing in the world if we didn't have the Solemn. Cool? Cool. Alright, so this next one is us up against Blue Eyes, and I wanted to do this one to show what we can do under certain hand traps. We get mulchied immediately in this one, and I just wanted to show how you can go about like getting some disruptions on board still anyways, as well as the importance of knowing the opponent's deck and knowing where to hit them. Let's go. So, Mulchi immediately, we E-Telly in response to summon Wagon so they don't get to draw off of it. Wagon fetches us the field spell because what we're trying to do right now is draw extra cards to hopefully find hand traps. We discard the Ogre Dance to summon Madam Spider and use that to get Nashiwari, which lets us draw another card. Psychic Tracker's not what we're looking for, but we can go into Rising Scale and it gets Ghost Belled so we don't get another card. So we end up with 3 disruptions. We've got a Book of Moon, a big negate, and a Nashiwari Surprise to destroy. So we negate the Wishes for Eyes of Blue, and they end up scooping it up just because of, I guess, because they had 2 disruptions in hand, and this is Blue Eyes we're talking about. They're quite a bricky deck. They just didn't have anything else to do after using the Wishes. That's why they tried to bait with the Bingo Machine Go. We didn't fall for it because Bingo Machine Go normally just gets Wishes for Eyes of Blue anyways. We want to hit the problem, not the thing that gets them to the problem. Cool? Cool. Alright, so if the last one was quick and clean, this one's going to be long and dirty. We are up against Horus, and our hand is a little bit wacky, but we'll see what we can do. So the only starter we have is Shirakusai, so it's a very good thing that the opponent has no hand traps or anything to deal with us. So we can go into the standard line, and at this point I'm assuming it's some kind of going second deck because they have used no interruptions going first. That tends to mean they're going to be on board breakers and things like that. So we'll try and see what we can do, but we also want to make sure that we have follow-up for next turn, knowing that they might break our board but be unable to kill us. As long as we can keep going next turn, that's not the biggest deal. We are a control deck, we can go through lines multiple times. So we end with 4 disruptions on board and a Ghost Ogre in hand. Ghost Ogre is so important because against Horus, the only card that really matters is King Sarcophagus. We can destroy King Sarcophagus with Ghost Ogre, but unfortunately, because they also had the walls, they can get to Imseti, which gets them another King Sarcophagus. So the game is not over quite as easily as I would have liked. So they activate Fenrir to search, and I make the mistake of negating and destroying it. That triggers their other Horus monsters on the field to send stuff, which means I have to go into Amazing Dragon now. That means I can bounce the Horuses that they already have on the field, which gets 2 bodies off the field, and they can't resummon them again this turn, but unfortunately it stops us from bouncing their entire board. So they managed to put 2 8s, and they go into full armored Photon Dragon, which I don't know if I've ever seen that before this game. Kill one thing, But it goes back to us, and like I said, we have follow-up. We're a control deck. We draw a million cards. So we managed to go full combo on a board that has 0 disruptions, just one big body. So we managed to, oh, and I want to point out one cool thing about Rising Scale. On turns following your first turn, it can bring back any punk from the graveyard when summoned, which means you can bring back Amazing Dragon, then Amazing Dragon can bring back something else from your graveyard, and then you can just overlay Amazing Dragon into another copy of Jam Fever. It's just like an oppressive line that the deck is capable of, as long as it can put a Rising Scale on board on its second turn. Anyways, let's finish this up. So we've got Psychic and Punisher. We banish things because I do not like Horus, and they have won on seemingly unbeatable boards before by playing stupid things like Battle Fader. So I want to just kind of get through as much as possible in case somehow they survive. Thankfully they have nothing, and we just close out the game. And then lastly, we are up against ninjas, and this is a good example of what happens when the game devolves into a very simplified board state. Let's go ahead and get started. So they're going first, and we throw a mulchi at them. They decide, screw that, they set 2 and pass. Okay, cool, that should make our job pretty easy. We normal summon Wagon, use it to get Extreme Session and activate the Extreme Session. They have 2 Droll and Lockbirds in hand, so we go to cross out the first one, and they just throw another one because it is not a once per turn card to ensure it resolves. We start playing stuff, and they Daruma Cannon our entire board. Cool, so we're going to set the Nashiwari and pass and hope they don't have much. So it is ninjas, and they don't have a whole ton, thankfully. They go into a trap, which is their only disruption for next turn. We blow it up, they set 1 more card, and pass. So this is going to be a fun segment. So we activate Wagon mostly to search an Extreme Session to trigger our Extreme Session, which will draw us an extra card. This is the grind game. We are in a very simplified board state. Neither player has really disruptions. They have 1 in their back row, but we kind of just want to be drawing cards and outvaluing the opponent in this phase of the game, and that's exactly what we're going to do here. So we draw a card off Extreme Session by searching Extreme Session. We get a Foxy Tune, which is great. We go to Shirakusai Fuse because we haven't done that yet. They interact with it. They target our Shirakusai with Imperm, which triggers Wagon to draw us a card, and then because we already paid life for Shirakusai, we draw an extra card off of Extreme Session. So we draw 4 cards over the course of 2 actions on our part. And then we have the Foxy Tune, so we can just do full combo off of Zeon in here, and the opponent's going to be like, oh, okay, I get what's happening, this is over, and just scoops it up. Cool. So very good grind game as long as you can keep the field spell out, which it is searchable, which is cool, but just drawing 2 extra cards every turn is backbreaking for the opponent. Cool? Cool.